Okay, I have the high-risk project, and I also have the high-risk presentation with the most number of slides, so there's the challenge to start with. So I'm going to set context just around TransLink, the organisation that I work for, just first of all. So like the All-Ireland Strategic Review, 50% reduction in our emissions as a business by 2030 or sooner, net zero by 2040, and then climate positive by 2050. Our organisation is obviously also linked to the All-Ireland Rail Review. Zero emission technologies plays a big part in our business and what we're doing with electrification of fleet, both in bus and rail, and also looking at electrification right across the rail sector as well. And then enterprise development, again, was touched on in one of the previous presentations about ordering those new trains working both north and south of the border. So the project I'm going to talk to you about, or the programme I'm going to talk to you about, comes in two parts. Belfast Grand Central Station, that's been under construction, and Babcock are playing a huge part in it at the moment. I'm representing 3 people here, so I'm standing while they're up the road working very hard. We set a cultural piece with the team back about 7 years ago, and it began with 3 L's. So it was lean into each other, lean into subject matter expertise, work together, learn as you go, be curious, ask questions, grow yourselves, and then leadership. Now, for me, those 3 L's dissolved into the background, and I get 3 new L's. Louise Sterrett is the Senior Programme Manager for the system and is delivering the entire project of Belfast Grand Central Station. The second L is Lisa McFadden. She came from Network Rail, delivered the North West Transport Hub for us, and is delivering the rail system side of the project for TransLink. And Louise Doyle, we stole her from the IFA in Northern Ireland at Windsor Park Stadium as the Operations Director. So she is now our Station Manager designate. So our 3 L's are the 3 L's, the 3 ladies, Lisa, Louise and Louise. They are delivering this project, so as I go through these slides, remember them. They're the ones that are on the face of this project. So, project ambition. Our team, our company set to lead with a transport-led regeneration project. You'll see the regeneration element at the end of this. Transformational both for TransLink as a business, for Belfast as a city, and Northern Ireland as an economy, and most importantly, connecting people together. Again, this leaks into the other parts of the presentations you've seen before. Strategically, it links into Department for Infrastructure's all-island strategy as well as the Northern Ireland strategy about transport interchanges, about decarbonisation. Gateway to a new city, to grow the new economy. It goes into Belfast City Council strategy for decarbonising the city and Belfast forward, linking into objectives around sustainable transport and modal shift. And it also creates new business opportunities, and it's about growing the economy in Northern Ireland. Where do we sit? We're sandwiched luckily between the 2 universities in Northern Ireland and Belfast, University of Ulster, Belfast and Queen's, and we're also sandwiched between 2 of the hospitals in Belfast, City Hospital and the Royal Victoria Hospital, and we're one of the closest multimodal interchanges in the UK and Europe to the centre of a city. So that will become pivotal as I go on through the presentation. The catalyst for change and regeneration, as I've said, not only a catalyst for change within the transport business itself and creating capacity both on the network for rail and bus, but also capacity in people movement. We're designed to be able to cope with a 30-year future productivity and future surge in passenger numbers, catering for over 20 million passengers within the new facility. There's been underinvestment in the existing station, and this significantly leapfrogs us forward into the future, not only for the future for transport, but the future for Belfast as well. And the regeneration project, which I'll show later, is wrapped around that. So the interchange itself, it's a connected interchange with both bus and rail capability. Our existing system only has 4 small, narrow platforms. This is 8 new dedicated platforms you can see on the railway facility there. They're connected into the bus concourse. We currently have 16 on the existing system. This will go to 26. What does that give us? That gives us an extra 2,000 seats potentially per hour at peak on the rail, and close to 2,000 seats per hour at peak for bus as well. So massive amount of capability and future proofing. So planning and building now for the future to come. We've also included in that, as part of the economic generator for TransLink, huge commercial offering in the back of house piece. So that central spine. We've procured additional potential retailers that have come on board through a separate procurement. And we have secured a number of key anchor tenants. Can't talk about them because the heads of terms aren't signed off just yet, but a couple of people who have not been in Northern Ireland before, which is pretty amazing. So a couple of shots just from, again, a fellow chartered engineer who got a flight around Belfast for his birthday in a helicopter, so he had the camera with him. So he took some shots and kindly sent them across to us. So you can see the progress top left there just from 6 months ago and where we are today. It's a significant structure. It is not just an inert structure. It's not just a piece of infrastructure that just sits there inanimately and does nothing. We're sandwiched between two of the lowest economic wards in Northern Ireland, both in inner south and inner west Belfast. And part of the key to the project has been to animate what's coming down the line to all of our social and economic stakeholders, as well as our neighbours. So we've created, which you'll see, reality here, which is BIM information, fly-through footage from the station, and I'll come on to BIM footage later on that showed you the digital version of what we were delivering. It was really important that we explained to the stakeholders we were doing it with them, and they were part of the journey. It wasn't being done to them, and they came on board. And we actually have the two communities who have been adversary with each other for years are now working together, collaborating together from both divides of the community on joint projects with Belfast Grand Central Station's team, and can understand that this piece of infrastructure not only brings forward transport to Northern Ireland, but also brings potential economic benefits for them. All of the contractors that have worked on the job, from the enabling works right through to the master developer, Babcock included, have all had social and economic requirements built into their contracts. Skills academies, employment, working in social enterprises locally, working in community events, working with local schools and colleges, right down from primary school level, secondary school level to universities, has been an important part of building that relationship, building the understanding what the project's about, and also building the understanding for them that they can be part of it and be a part of Belfast and Northern Ireland's future. The internals of the station are set for high quality. Again, some of the imagery here, again, I'll come on to some of the building information modelling later on, but it's about high quality interchange, being a high specification station, creating that not just capacity, quality, build it, people will come, but also get them to use the transport system, see that it is inclusion for all. There's multiple places within the station. We've got a change in places facility. There's state-of-the-art navigating and wayfinding for those who are visually and disability impaired, which is also important, and also connecting into the rest of Belfast, foot-free and step-free access, right up until you lift your foot to put your foot on the tread of the train or the platform for the bus alighting area. And that's been important as well, and removing some key obstacles in the area. I've stated building information management has been a key part of the delivery. That's been used from a number of different purposes. One is to obviously bring the design teams together, multiple international design teams right across the island of Ireland and the UK, working remotely, collaboratively together, using BIM as a model and a tool to design, remove clash detection, make the building design more efficient, looking at problems before they occur, before people get to site. It's been a stakeholder engagement tool with massive impact on the local stakeholders, from all the way from politicians right down to local school children, and also as well communicating with our operations team. They are another major stakeholder for us. One of the key challenges of the project was to ensure that we remained fully operational throughout the build. That was one of the challenges put down by our operations team about 8 years ago, and we have achieved that. Belfast's public transport system has continued to move, but it's also created a massive opportunity during this disruptive phase where we've actually shut the railway for 91 days. Babcock are out with teams of about 130 people working 3 8-hour shifts 24/7 over the next 91 days to deliver a new railway, 5 kilometres of new track and 5 kilometres of track and 50 kilometres of new signalling cabling that's going around Belfast Grand Central Station and connecting into the wider network. That has been an important communication tool to our operations team to show them how buses arrive, how trains arrive, but also through the various phases. Over the last 7 years, we have moved the operation of the station around. We've disrupted our GVS engineering colleagues that service the buses. We've moved the busway around within the station and created a new busway through the middle of the site. And now we've disrupted the railway, but we've enacted a huge logistical plan as well for the city of Belfast. This includes working along with bus and rail colleagues to create a huge logistical operation over the next 91 days that swung into service. There was a test of that at Easter, and we're now in that 91-day plan. What that has seen ultimately is bus and rail services continue to operate, but with bus and rail integrating together at decant stations. It's kept the city on the move, and we've also used that opportunity to create a burning platform with city centre stakeholders. It's been a multi-agency planned approach from the outset. It's not Translink doing it on their own. It's not Translink doing it with our consultants and with our contractors. It's other agencies within the city of Belfast. City Council have been part of that, Department of Infrastructure Roads, and Department for Communities, what we've actually done is now moved Belfast forward to create bus prioritisation measures that are required during this disruption phase. Now, what does that help to do? That's helped us gain a leverage into the city at this point on a temporary basis for 2 years, while we effect bus prioritisation that supplements the railway in the short term. We've got outside the station a public realm scheme in its own right, which is about £25 to £30 million all told, which sees major service diversions right across the city, sees us disrupt the streetscaping around Belfast Grand Central Station, and also sees us stitch in a new public realm system that will help support the redevelopment of the area, which I'll come on to in a moment. Again, you can see that around the city of Belfast itself, it's that magic 15-20 minute city, that walking, cycling distance that we've looked at where Belfast Grand Central Station sits in the middle of, and we service both the universities and the city's economy. We'll be able to drive economic generation as well with new jobs, both locally in and around the development that we create. And we didn't want to displace people, we wanted to create new economic activity and support the businesses within the city itself. And like any modern European city, the core of that is delivering sustainable transport, modal shift, cycling, walking, public transport, decarbonising the city and removing the car. And again, I'll come on to that in a later slide. All of the achievements that have been set as well, again, linking back into the decarbonisation of the city. From a construction point of view, we've recycled almost 100% of the waste. So 98% of that material has been used within the actual site itself. So that's taken traffic off the network. It's taken financial requirements out of the contracts themselves to actually push on that material into landfill. And it also, from an environmental point of view, it's reduced the carbon footprint of the actual delivery of the system itself. So the site, all told, is about 27,000 metric tonnes of carbon to actually build a station. The payback is done over a 7-year period if we get the displacement from people coming out of their private cars and getting onto public transport. And that's a metric we haven't yet built into the post-project evaluation for the business case, but it is one of the metrics that we do want to use, and that increases back to the, again, presentations before. The benefit-cost ratio is huge, not just in carbon, but also in sustainable transport and driving the wider economy. We've linked into the wider network within Belfast, so we have worked along with Belfast Bikes, we've worked along with Sustrans to look at those sustainable transport corridors, and we were challenged by the outgoing Infrastructure Minister Nicola Mallon to do more for prioritisation of sustainable transport. So during the build and just before we went out to procurement for the main works, we redesigned the streetscaping around the actual site itself to prioritise cycling and walking. And that has been picked up by the Department for Infrastructure, and they're wanting to include that and widen that out around the city. Our local stakeholders are lobbying, now that local politicians are back, to push for more of those areas to connect into what we're doing. So again, that catalyst is taking effect already. It's a PWI conference, so I'm going to talk a little about rail and the effect that it has and the importance of it as well. We've done a number of major shutdowns and gone to bus substitution. A lot of these prioritisation measures have been, in effect, planned over the last 2 years with our operational colleagues in bus and rail. First of those was completed in March. We did basically a trial run in March and April, Easter of this year, to do one of the first shutdowns, trialled all the logistical planning, all the marketing planning, out with our wider stakeholders, out with the road shows, out with our existing customers, but more importantly, the capture point is to get new customers on board as well. And part of the design review that we looked at how the city actually operates. So we identified through using AI and camera, TomTom data and data analytics within Belfast that over 30,000 journeys are done into the city every day coming from east and west by vehicles making no economic contribution whatsoever. About 15,000 coming from east, about 15,000 coming from west travel through the city. They don't stop. So what we want to do is displace them during this. So what we've done is not only deliver the blockades, but we've gone out with a campaign to say, here's your better alternative. We're making it difficult for car users to come into the city, putting the bus prioritisation measures in, and that is to push that modal shift. Dublin did it with the bus laning. We're wanting to do it with this project during this phase, and to create that behaviour. Bad and good behaviours are created over a 28-day period. We have a 91-day blockade, so we plan to create good behaviours with the travelling public and get them on to public services. We've enhanced those. We've put out enhanced services to the park and rides. Those corridors that we've identified that can get people in and out of the city and is to drive that public shift in using public transport. Again, very quickly, summary in the next 2 slides. This is what our existing station did look like up until the 10th, 11th of May. So you can see in black there, this was the ageing Great Victoria Street station, all the cords leading into the station, the 4 platforms. Babcock have been doing the rail. We peeled them off one of our frameworks 4 years ago to come in as an early contractor involvement piece in Belfast Grand Central Station, to plan out all the niggles, the issues, find all the problems early, and look to plan out and create a highly effective blockade that could be delivered within time and within a budget. And we looked at delivering that over the last 2 years. The Babcock team, along with our own track teams, have been out night and day shift, moving infrastructure out on the wider track network to prepare for this blockade over the summer. That has gone very successfully. And now what they're in the middle of, as of the 11th of May, is now creating a new railway. It's all been done offline. The team have got into a great rhythm, working with great people, administering the best people that they have brought to deliver this team piece. And as I said, collaboration is baked into the contractual documents that we have, both with Babcock and all the rest of the contractors. Main works contractor is Farran's Saseer joint venture, so a local company, Farran's, based in Dunmurray, partnered with an international Saseer. They had been on a previous partnership and are still are for Edinburgh Tram, so it was great to have that team come in. They had already built the culture, and we as a client had led that cultural shift as well. Again, 7 years ago, when we looked at the contract, we said this is going to be complicated, this is going to be difficult, this is going to be challenging, so we need to create an environment where there is every chance of success. Collaboration is at the centre of that. Collaboration was also built into an incentivisation model for both contractors to work to, both the JV and Babcock, to collaborate together along with Transinc in the operational environment, and that has worked incredibly successfully. And the only way that has been done is by delivering the right people to the project, the right attitude, the right endeavour to create that burning platform of purpose, which everybody does, and also identify the benefits that they're bringing, the legacy project, the change, the transformation that they are all part of. Building that culture within the team has been incredibly important. It's impassioned everybody that is involved with the project. The energy within the project office, I recently had an external come in who had worked for Network Rail and had the first time in Northern Ireland, and I asked them, what do you think about the culture within the office? And he said, I can't believe it. People know the first name of the cleaners. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, anywhere else I go, any other office, he says, people tend to be in their little insular panels, they talk in their small teams, they don't really know each other. He says, your director knows the name of the cleaners understand their part that they're playing in this organisation. Everybody from top to bottom understands that they're delivering this project together, and that is really important. And that's how that culture has been built and is still being driven today. So Babcock are on with the small task of the next 91 days, and this is what they will end up with and deliver to us within Belfast Grand Central Station. Now, I will caveat that because our Director of Operations and our SRO is sitting in the room and probably have beads of sweat gathering on their brow right now, because I'm saying completed in August 2024. What I'm saying is that the plan, targeted completion date for the rail systems element of it is August 2024. We still have a building and other systems to connect into and commission, and we will go live in autumn. Just caveat that, and I'll say it again just for the camera and the audio, autumn of 2024. But ultimately, we have to pick target dates and we have to be aspirational. So that's why that date is there, and we are working towards that. And again, people on the ground, people understanding what their job role, their purpose is, and what they're delivering, coming together in Belfast. We have the capability whenever you want to do something together. And the team, we have hit stumbling blocks. We have said, go out onto the viewing platform, have a look outside. We've had a national pandemic. We've had a global economic crisis. We have had political instability, and the team didn't miss a beat. We continue to deliver all the way throughout this programme, and I think that's testament both to the people, both being courageous and determined, to the leadership that we've had in all the companies being courageous and determined, but also to sticking to those core values that align with all companies, that we are purposeful, we do see what we can deliver together, and actually the sum of the collective parts, the engagement that we have together, is greater than the sum of the individual parts, and that's testament to this project. That's how you deliver major infrastructure. So, as I said, part of the opportunity or risk area that we saw, which then became an opportunity, was supporting those interventions and changes. So about 6 months ago, a few of us were given the unenviable task of starting with nothing and approaching the city and saying, we need to enact a major change in public transport to support the transformation for the railway. We're not going to have rail for over 91 days. We need to switch to bus, and we need to do it quickly. But we also need to create emergency corridors for emergency services coming into the city, and we've identified the numbers of traffic that we need to displace. And all departments, I have to say, we approached them, and they were, again, open to change. So Department of Infrastructure, Belfast City Council, the Minister, whenever he came back in as well, saw the plan. Let's go and get on with it. That's brilliant. And these are plans that we are being done under temporary legislation and emergency legislation. 5, okay, coming along nicely. And we have moved that forward. So we've identified that right across the city to support how Belfast Grand Central Station changes the city. Very quickly, I'm going to push on through onto Weaver's Cross. So the major development that's coming along behind that. Once we open the station, we haven't stopped. We have 15 years worth of delivery still to do behind that. Translink owns 16 acres of land around Belfast Grand Central Station. We went out during the lockdown and during the delivery of the programme, and we got full outline planning for the development, 1.3 million square feet of mixed-use office development. We went out and attained a master developer who's going to help us to develop this out. The only thing that Translink and Department for Infrastructure are putting in is the land and the resources, the people to support the master developer. They are out marketing at the moment. They're at UK Reef, they've been at MIPIM, and we've pushed out as well during our marketing procurement campaign to bring in global players and investment players to look at that. That has been successful. There's huge interest coming forward in student accommodation, life sciences parks, commercial retail unit outlets, and we've also pushed into that to ensure that the objectives that we're meeting are linked back to the Department for Infrastructure and the Belfast City Deal. And we're leveraging on the fact that new businesses want to relocate in the temporary and create incubator businesses both in digital healthcare and as well as that in growing digital economy. So we have a number of tenants that are coming on board. Once we vacate the old station in the autumn, they will take up residency in there and start to build up the drive to the wider economy. That sees, again, on today's construction values, another project of about £400 million coming forward and delivery into the economy. We have looked at it from a Steer Davis-Glave report as part of our business case that every pound invested in transport-led regeneration can reap back into the economy 78 times that number. So it's a £750 million programme. You're looking at about £6 to £7 billion being reinvested into the Belfast and Northern Ireland economy from the project. Rail has a huge part to play in that. Again, back to the other presentations. It will deliver people. It will deliver people and connect both Northern Ireland and the wider region together more economically, a lot more efficiently. But we also will see an extra 8,000 people living and working in this part of the city who have never been there before. Done. 2.